lovers, it is G-Swizz here, and welcome to day number 6 of the 12 days of G-Swizz. So yesterday was a negative one, but today I'm here with a positive. Hope you guys didn't want to headhunt me after yesterday. Today I will be talking about my top 6 favorite comic book series of the year. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna start off with a series that is not Marvel related. Every other series that I'm gonna talk about on this list will be Marvel related, but this is the one series that's not Marvel related. It is an Image comic book series, and that is The Wicked and the Divine. If you guys don't know, this is a pretty hyped comic book series on the booktubes, and it's all about gods coming back to Earth as rock stars, which is really interesting. And so this comic book series is like very dark, but it's also very intriguing. I would not recommend this if you are sensitive to spiritual abuse or crazy stuff within the spiritual realm. Seriously, reading this, I've had to guard my heart a lot. But I find it very interesting because of the mythology behind everything. And also I should probably warn you guys that this is not for kids. This is not a YA series at all. This is pretty much an adult series. What I really love about the series is that there's an amazing colorful art style as well. And I really love the artists behind the series. My favorite 2 volumes will probably be the first and second, which is The First Act and Pandemonium. I did not like this one at all. I don't think that this should have been counted as volume 3, to be honest. I was very disappointed in it. But The Wicked and the Divine is one of my favorite series of the year. The next series I will be talking about today will be the Young Avengers series. And yes, this series was also created by the people that created The Wicked and the Divine. I love this series so much. I seriously love the characters so much, including Kate Bishop, because Kate Bishop is honestly one of my favorite Avengers ever. And to see her again in the series was great. I really want a Young Avengers TV show. I actually watched The Runaways lately, and I love The Runaways so much, but I seriously wish that the Young Avengers was also a thing. If you guys are wondering, my favorite volume is probably the first one. I did like the rest of the series, but the first one I really liked. The third volume was kind of heartbreaking for me because one of my favorite ships sank. Yeah, I'm not gonna say who it was, but I really love the series so much. Seriously, this whole series is amazing, and I do recommend it to people. Hoping that there is more Young Avengers comics in the future, and maybe even just more Marvel comics in the future done by this team, because this team is amazing. Another favorite comic book series that I started this year was the Silk series. This is volume 0, which is the life and times of Cindy Moon. Now, this is the only volume that I've actually read in the series, but it's instantly one of my favorites because I really love how much of an influence Spider-Man does have on this series. I mean, Silk is pretty much a female Spider-Man, but not in a different dimension from the actual Spider-Man. She's actually in the same dimension as Peter Parker. But what I really loved about this volume so much is that it showed so much character depth and development, and of course Cindy's tragic backstory. Seriously, those are just superhero tropes that I adore. And so for that, I just loved this, and I seriously cannot wait to continue on with the series. I only read this one, but it definitely deserves a spot on my top 6. Next, I have to talk about the Spider-Man and Deadpool comics. Now, I've been borrowing these from the library, and I have loved them so much. I think the 3rd volume just came into the library. Yeah, I got an email about it today because I placed a purchase order for it. I'm so excited to read it because Spider-Man and Deadpool are like everything to me. This series does get weird at times, but I adored it. Seriously, my personal favorite in the series, though, would be volume number 1. I just really loved what they played around with in that volume. I seriously loved how they did that volume so much, and I cannot wait to continue on with the series. I think there's only 1 volume left. I'm very devastated about that, but what can you do? This is definitely one of my favorites. I've been talking about it a lot on my channel, and I do recommend Spider-Man and Deadpool because they are 2 of my favorite characters ever put into one comic book series. It's perfect. It's a match made in heaven. Next, I will be talking about the Guardians of the Galaxy comics that I read this year. I read 2 types of Guardians of the Galaxy comics. So I read some Guardians of the Galaxy comics from Dan Abnett. I actually completed his whole Guardian series. And then I read one from Brian Michael Bendis, which was volume 1, Cosmic Avengers. I honestly can't decide between the 2 series, but if I was to talk about a really good series in terms of really great canon, I would have to recommend Dan Abnett's take on the series. But then Brian Michael Bendis really did shine with his one as well. Personally, I haven't continued on with Brian Michael Bendis' series, but I love both Dan Abnett's and Brian Michael Bendis' take on the series, and I'm so excited to keep reading Guardians comics because I love Guardians comics. If you guys couldn't already tell, I'm obsessed with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm gonna be very real. Dan Abnett's take on the Guardians of the Galaxy is probably the big reason why I was very disappointed in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the movie. And I'm not disappointed in the movie like I'm disappointed in X-Men Apocalypse. X-Men Apocalypse is just trash fire. But Dan Abnett's take on the Guardians canon really gave me more expectations for the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. You could kind of see some of those influences in the trailer, and then it kind of didn't fall through. And also, I was really hoping that Jason of Spartex was going to be Peter Quill's father, but turns out we got Ego, and Ego is not actually his father in the comics. I did not see the point in that at all. I honestly wish that they stuck to Jason of Spartex as Peter Quill's father, because that would have saved so much more time in Volume 2, and then we could have focused on actual kick-butt things. Just saying. Either way, I'm just so thankful for the Guardians of the Galaxy comics. I'm happy that I'm reading them. They are honestly the best. they're so good. My final favorite comic book series that I have to talk about on this list, you guys might be like wondering why it didn't turn up on the list earlier, but hey, it's here. So you guys don't need to be waiting any longer. I will be talking about The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. What I love about this series so much is that Ryan North writes it and Erica Henderson is the artist of it, and they are the perfect combination. And The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl is so much better than what she sounds to be. I mean, a lot of people are just like, oh, you know, she's like one of those cheesy superheroes that, you know, little girls can look up to and everything like that. No, she's literally unbeatable, and she could really kick your butt. I know that The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl sounds so cheesy. I actually was not planning to continue on with the series. I just wanted to give it a shot and see what it was like because I saw it in my library. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick that up. And it was everything that I never knew that I wanted in a comic. It was perfect, and so I had to continue on. And of course, there are future volumes that I haven't really been happy with, to be honest, and there was a ship that I really shipped and it died, and I was not happy with that. But overall, this is a really good series. It is pretty underhyped in the booktube community. I mean, like, let's be real. All Marvel comics are underhyped in the booktube community, but, you know, I'm here to bring that hype. I'm here to recommend them to you so you guys can pick them up. But actually, this series isn't really that underhyped when it comes to Marvel. They actually expected to only do 2 volumes, and they're doing a 6th volume now because people weren't expecting The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl to be so good, and turns out it was. It's great. That is gonna be it for this video today, book lovers. You can follow me on my social medias. I'm at G-Swizzelbooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also Goodreads. That's www.goodreads.com/gswizzle. Hopefully in my next video I will be wearing a different shirt. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.